In this lesson, the Shaykh begins with the hadith of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu. When a believer commits a sin, a black dot is placed on his heart. If he repents, stops the sin, and asks Allah for forgiveness, the heart is polished and the stain is removed. If he keeps repeating the sin, the dots increase until a full layer of rust covers the heart. This is the ran mentioned in the verse, Kalla bal rana ala kulubihim ma kanu yaksibun. The Shaykh uses a simple image. Imagine smooth ground and a stick in your hand. Each time you tap the ground, you leave a small mark. If you repeat this many times, the marks become clear and deep. In the same way, every sin leaves a real trace on the heart, even if nothing is visible on the outside. He also highlights Allah's mercy. Sincere tawbah, leaving the sin, and making abundant istighfar can polish the heart again. It is like wiping a very dirty mirror until it becomes clear and shiny once more. Then he moves to reports from the companions and early scholars about the hidden consequences of sins. One warning says that continuous disobedience weakens a community, like stripping the bark from a branch, until the branch dries and becomes weak. Other reports mention nations before us who were destroyed because they repeatedly triggered Allah's anger by their sins. A key statement comes from Aisha radiallahu anha in a letter to Muawiyah radiallahu anhu. In summary, she says, when a servant disobeys Allah, those who used to praise him start to blame him. The meaning is that sin eventually causes a person to lose the respect and esteem of the believers. Even if people do not know the details, Allah places a negative impression of that person in their hearts. In the same spirit, Abu al-Darda radiallahu anhu warns, a person should fear that the hearts of the believers may be cursing him without him even realizing it. When someone hides to commit sins, Allah puts that person's hatred into the hearts of the believers. This matches the famous hadith, if Allah loves a servant, He spreads His love on earth. If He dislikes a servant, He spreads hatred for him on earth. The Shaykh then mentions the example of Muhammad ibn Sirin, rahimahullah. When he was overwhelmed by debt and grief, he said, I know that this distress is because of a sin I committed 40 years ago. This shows how sensitive the early generations were. They connected trials to their own shortcomings, instead of feeling fully innocent and complaining about fate. Ibn al-Qayyim, rahimahullah, then highlights a subtle mistake. Many people think that their sins have no real effect, because nothing bad happens immediately after they sin. Since no disaster appears right away, they assume it doesn't matter. He compares this to a wound that is closed while dirt and infection remain inside. At first it looks healed, but later it becomes badly infected and very dangerous. The lesson also includes the story of a man who stared in a forbidden way at a child. He later saw in a dream that he would feel the consequence of that sin 40 years later. The purpose is not to fix an exact number, but to show that the effect of a sin can return long after the person has forgotten it. At this point, the Shaykh speaks at length about the fitna of smartphones and screens. He describes how hearts that were once pure have been darkened by haram images and endless distractions coming through these devices. If every forbidden image places one black dot on the heart, how many dots have these devices added to people's hearts? Some even lost their faith or fell into serious desires because of what they consume on their phones. Finally, he mentions several other effects of sins. Immediate humiliation that shows on a person's face and behavior after he sins in secret. The contradiction of asking in dua, O Allah, do not let my enemies rejoice over my misfortune, while doing deeds that will themselves lead to humiliation in this world or on the day of judgment. The principle that whoever betrays Allah in secret will often have his veil torn in public. This lesson completes the introduction to a major chapter in which Ibn al-Qayyim, rahimahullah, will list many more harmful effects of sins on the heart, knowledge, provision, character, and the servant's relationship with Allah.